Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Better Business Live, brought to you by the Better Business Bureau. I'm your host, Tristan Gomes, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Martie Cordaro, president of the Omaha Stormchasers, the AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Martie has played a key role in making the Stormchasers one of the most respected organizations in minor league baseball, both on and off the field. Today, we'll talk about leadership, trust, fan experience, and what it takes to run a successful sports organization. Let's get into it. Martie, welcome to the Better Business Live. Thank you so much for being here.
Tristan, glad to be here. I appreciate all that the Better Business Bureau does for our community.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say thank you for being an accredited organization and just working with trust and integrity. Could you go in a little bit about just what trust and integrity means to you and your organization?
Well, we're in a business where people don't have to buy a ticket to a baseball game, to a soccer match, to a special event. And same thing with companies and sponsorships and companies with hospitality and entertainment. So, they have to trust whether it's myself or any of our salespeople, any of our marketing representatives that are out there. There has to be a trust. And I think the things that we do in the community and have long done in the community, and not just from an Omaha Stormchasers, Omaha Royals perspective, but also from a minor league baseball perspective across the country. We are community businesses. We're small businesses for the most part. And, I think we kind of fit nicely in, to the group of businesses that BBB represents.
Definitely. Yeah. I think fan experience and just dealing with a large organization and making sure that your customers are satisfied might be number one for you guys. What would you say goes into making sure that the fans are satisfied? And are there different things that you take from the fans to, maybe make the experience better for them? Or just how do you make sure that the fans enjoy every single game at Werner Park?
We've been doing surveys for a number of years. In those surveys, we would gather that data at the end of each homestand or series, and then we would review that data. But now, under our new ownership group, Diamond Baseball Holdings, we get surveys each day, and that data just compiles. So we're able to look at that on a day-by-day basis and to take suggestions. And it's something that, we're learning to be able to do a little bit better, and how can we be a little bit more nimble and how we make improvements, tweaks, take things away, add things. And I think that's important to be able to listen to your audience. And, it's not just about what you've done wrong or, if someone got a cold hot dog or their beer wasn't warm or maybe, one of our ushers didn't address them with a smile. Sometimes it's suggestions of events they'd like to see or different promotions they'd like to see, or, hey, I was in this ballpark. Have you ever thought about doing this? Sometimes they are just genuine new ideas. And, if we're only generating ideas from within these four walls and from the other teams in DBH, then we're not doing our jobs, because the Omaha Stormchasers are in this Omaha metro area. They're not in one of the other 43 markets that Diamond Baseball Holdings has. So I think it is important to listen local first and then the collective group second.
Yeah. That's great. And I mean, the Storm Chasers, one transition from the Omaha Royals to Werner Park into the Storm Chasers. Can you talk a little bit about just what it's like going through change as an organization and just making sure that, you're doing it the right way, or, things are going to be tough. Things are going to be different for other companies or businesses going through change. What advice would you give them about, how to make it as smooth as possible?
Well, I would say embrace change. And I'm going to give you a really quick career trajectory for me. From Louisiana, worked in college baseball, left there and went to AA, which is my first minor league. That was in Jackson, Tennessee in 99, 4 years there. Birmingham, Alabama, 2 years there. Battle Creek, Michigan, 2 years there. And then Omaha in fall of 06, October of 06. So all those were changes. I've been through 5, 6 different ownership changes, almost 2 others in my 27-year minor league baseball career. So change is inevitable in what we do. The fortunate thing for us here in Omaha is affiliation change, meaning who is our major league team has not changed, and I don't see that ever changing. However, I came to Omaha as part of an ownership change. I stayed in 2012 as part of Gary Green purchasing the club, and then I've stayed on as Diamond Baseball Holdings. So in our business, change is inevitable, whether it's the weather on a day-by-day basis, whether it's the seasons, April weather, and crowds and school being in, much different than now, June, July, August. So for those of us that work in this business, you have to be open to change. And I'll use the supreme example from a baseball perspective. We were all eager to have Jac Caglianone here, and waited for him to come as he was just demolishing Double-A pitching. And Tristan, we got that call, and he came and started on the road when we were at Salt Lake, and then we had him here for 6 games when we played St. Paul right at the end of May. And, we thought he would be here another week, maybe through last Sunday, the 8th, and it didn't happen. But we took advantage of the change of him being here and a focus being put on baseball, because baseball is not normally what we as an organization focus on promotionally. It's normally, as you had mentioned earlier, the experience. We talked about relationship with fans. We talked about promotions. But for those 6 games, it was about promoting the fact that we had the Royals' top prospect and the number 10 prospect overall, and a great young man who had played in 2 different College World Series right here in the metro area with the Gators. So, we hoped he would be here long. We hoped he'd be here longer than that week that he was here at Werner Park, but he wasn't. So you just ride the wave and you take those changes as they come day by day, and you address them.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, especially just with today's day and age. Like you said, it just seems like change is inevitable. Like you either have to prepare for it or you're going to get left behind. So I think a lot of businesses understand there's things we need to do differently. And if you, just say, oh, we'll get there at some point, I think you just got to attack it head on. Like you kind of talked about, is change is going to happen. We just got to make the most of it. So I think that's great advice. A leader yourself, building your way up and just becoming the president of a great organization, what qualities do you believe are most important in a strong leader?
Well, again, I answer from a perspective of where we are, and where we are is minor league baseball. And I think one that is adept at dealing with change, and can manage. A lot of times people will say, you got to manage 3 or 4 things at a time in a job. Well, here it's different than that. Right now, those of us that have stayed on, that were working soccer, are actually working for 2 different ownerships right now, which is unusual, because soccer and baseball used to be owned by Gary Green. Now they're 2 different owners. So we have 2 parallel schedules. We have 2 parallel everythings, books, financials, and different fan bases, if you will. So managing a lot of balls in the air, pun intended, is something that has always, I wouldn't say come easily to me, but it's been of interest, and I think I've done a pretty decent job. But really, since last fall, it's something that I've really had to I'm not going to use the word perfect, because I don't think any of us ever perfect anything.
Yeah.
We work towards perfection, but you never reach that, because technologies change and success, what does success look like, changes, and those things. But working towards a more perfect scenario on how our employees can work within, it's been difficult. Honestly, it really has been difficult, but it's been something that at 52 years old, I have continued to learn things. I've continued to learn things, and, to be able to use those skills in different facets of my life, and to be able to educate the rest of our staff on that, those are opportunities. They're not just challenges. I always tell our staff, every challenge is a new opportunity, and what are you going to do with it?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And like you said, just we're never going to be perfect. We can strive for it, but we're never going to get there. So I think just having these goals, whether it's a revenue perspective or a customer satisfaction perspective, and it's just having those goals. And then once you attain that, you just think, all right, we can do this, that we know that's a possibility. Now what's the next goal, and how do we keep striving and get better? And so I think that's just one thing, like you said, is just a leader like yourself is explaining to your staff and to the people around you, like, we're not going to be perfect, but we can continue to strive for it. So I think that's amazing advice. Kind of going along with your staff, how do you make sure that your staff and your employees are happy working as a part of the Storm Chasers?
Just feed them a lot of hot dogs. I mean, really, isn't everybody happy when you feed them a lot of hot dogs? No, I'm kidding. Um, that's work-life balance in minor league baseball. I would say any professional sport, but primarily minor league baseball because we're a small group of approximately 30 full-time staff. Yes, we have game day staff and interns and seasonal folks and part-timers that help us a lot, but primarily 30 full-time who have day jobs. And then some of our day jobs do go into our events and our games, but some of us have completely different roles during games. So we're here a lot and we work a lot, but it's a balance on trying to listen to what our staff's concerns are, listening to what their career goals are. They don't always line up, with if they're in one business unit, does their career goal specifically line up with what their department head or their manager or their director says? So it's a lot of communication. And I think even before COVID happened, our then general manager, Lori Schlender, who remains our CFO, she really implemented a number of new pro-employee policies and processes, and we've continued those. And I really think that helped us going into COVID and coming out of it. The challenge was our entire industry lost so many people due to COVID. Some of that was created by Major League Baseball when they contracted 43 of our affiliated counterparts. Mm-hmm. So overall, we went from 160 to 120 markets. And then secondly, a lot of people had worked 5, 10, 15, 20 years in this game and had never had a summer off. They had 2020 summer off. So coming out of it, we had a number of staff that said they worked in 21, and then they said, wow, I had 21 to now compared to 2020. I think I liked 2020. I think I want a role where I'm not working, my entire summer vacation, if you will. So our industry really changed a lot. So we have had to organically kind of adjust to a changing workforce, labor force, younger workforce, if you will, in our game. And I think overall it's better. But I do think that the mindset of having to sometimes work 60, 70, 80 hours to get the job done, not to work 50 or 60 hours and get done as much as I can, those are two different things. Because we have 75 games. Our ballparks are roughly open 4 hours, each of those. That's about 2.5 weeks of a 24/7 Walgreens. Mm-hmm. So you boil down to how much we're truly open to the public. It's 2.5, even let's call it 3 weeks out of a 52-week calendar. Yeah, we have to be on our game. So we're working towards that. Again, that working towards perfection. We're working towards engaged employees across our industry, and how do we keep them engaged? Because it's not easy. It's not an easy game.
Yeah, I think recognizing that probably makes it a lot easier. Just understanding that this isn't just your kind of typical 9-to-5 job. You're extremely busy during the summers, and you are making sure that the fans are satisfied and things like that. So I think just recognizing that makes it so much easier, not only for you, but other organizations and businesses to say, all right, so this is what it is. This is how we need to make sure we get the most out of it. So I think that's great stuff. How can local businesses or community members get involved or support the Storm Chasers? Or do you guys put on any events for businesses or things like that?
Great question. And there are so many. We don't have time to hit on all of them. So I'm going to give a couple highlights here. What we try to do best is entertain. And whether we're entertaining baseball fans, which is about 35 to 40% of our fan base, or the other 60%, which are coming for something else, really falls into what you just asked. And that's through tickets. And that can be a season-long ticket. It can be undated ticket vouchers. That could be a single night group where you're entertaining customers, you're entertaining employees, or both sometimes, or even for nonprofits who want to say thank you to volunteers or donors, or want to entertain their service recipients. So, tickets is really the most important thing. So if there's someone out there listening to this and they have some VIPs that they want to entertain, again, whether it's season long, whether it's a few games long, or it's just a one-off night, one-off event, those are the things that we do best. We obviously offer sponsorship opportunities, and one of the things that we've seen shift really over the last 10 years in our business, it's much less of, hey, I want to put a sign in the outfield and I want to buy season tickets. Those things kind of those are your traditional sponsorships. For now, Tristan, it's having a conversation of, I want some branding, I want my name in lights, and I want some tickets, but maybe not for the full season, and I want to have a sponsorship that is doing something to better the community. And we have a number of opportunities there, from our community night celebration series, even something like Bark in the Park, something that's a community engaged promotion. Or this year, ConAgra Brands stepped up, and we have our pitch in at the pantry. There's a new neighborhood food pantry and pavilion called Neighbor Good. And so those are just some examples of how we try to be creative. And if someone wants the traditional sponsorship of having a radio spot as well as an outfield sign and an in-game promotion, we're here for that. But if you want to get a little bit more into the community, we're here for those opportunities as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before you go, I just want to ask, do you have any events or games or promotional things that coming up that you would like to promote or just talk about a little bit?
Yeah, we have a lot of games coming up. We're going to be home June 17th through the 22nd for the first time ever. The Durham Bulls are going to be in town. AAA team of the Tampa Bay Rays, who just recently came off a 3-game sweep of the hot New York Mets. So Durham always has a competitive AAA squad on the field with a lot of top prospects. But it's kind of cool that Durham's going to be in town, and we've got a lot of great promotions coming up. Youth baseball and softball night is this Friday night, and then Saturday night we're actually welcoming in our sister team, the Union Omaha Soccer Club. All the players and coaches will actually be here for hands-on autograph session and meet and greet with the public. They'll have their 2024 USL regular season and postseason trophies that will be here. So, a lot of fun things coming up. And then we've got community night. We were just talking about those a second ago, but the La Vista and Ralston community nights are this coming up Sunday at 5 p.m. So a lot of fun things happening. You can go to our website, OmahaStormChasers.com, and you can get all those details. And then we have the ALS Association host their annual walk here, and that is on Saturday, June 28th, if those that are out there that would like to support the ALS Association as well. So, all the great nonprofit events are also continuing to happen here. And then the granddaddy of them all, this will be the 57th year that we've hosted the largest fireworks show here in the metro. That's on the 4th of July this year. And we'll be playing host to the Iowa Cubs. So it's going to be a great night of baseball. There are a lot of Cubs and Royals fans in the market. The big fireworks show. And, we said in 2020 the show must go on. So we actually still had the big fireworks show that year in spite of not having a minor league season, and we partnered with the Summer Wooden Bat League that Joe Siwa runs here in town, and we had the fireworks show that year just to keep it going. So 57 years is a long time, dating all the way back to 1969 at Rosenblatt Stadium. So that's on the 4th of July this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. The firework night, it might be the best night of the summer. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's super cool how many people just show up, and you get to watch a great baseball game. So that's absolutely awesome. Martie, thank you for coming on, and from the Better Business Bureau, we'll all be rooting for the Storm Chasers the rest of the season.
Well, Tristan, I appreciate it. If there's anything we can do for BBB, please let us know along the way.
Yes, sir, will do. Thanks, Martie. Thank you again to Martie for joining us today on the Better Business Live. It was a real pleasure hearing his insights on leadership, trust, and the incredible work him and the Storm Chasers continue to do in our community. To our viewers, if you're an accredited business and would like to be featured on the Better Business Live, we'd love to have you on. It's a great opportunity to talk about what trustworthy business looks like in your industry, what sets your business apart, and share any exciting events or updates you have coming up. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.